Rich Slaton here for the University of Mixed Martial Arts with UFC World Women's Bantamweight Champion, Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Ronda, unlike a lot of your contemporaries right now, you actually came up through the amateur ranks first. Were there any important lessons that you found as an amateur fighter that transferred over to being a professional?
Well, I think I was really fortunate in that the venues that I fought in and the shows that I fought in as an amateur were extremely well run, and it had the feel of being in a professional show. So my first pro fight actually felt like it wasn't as a big deal as some of my other amateur fights because the venue and the production were much bigger.
Do you remember the emotions you were going through before your first amateur fight?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt a lot similar to going to any judo match. I just kind of had to. It was much different because when I walked out, there was people actually cheering for me, and all the attention is just on you. And usually, at judo tournaments, the attention is divided between several, 3 different fights or so, and the crowd's booing you. So that was a little bit different.
We have a lot of amateur fighters coming up. Some are just trying to test themselves. Some want a pro career, and you've had a very quick rise. Almost a breakneck rise from being a well-decorated judo fighter to suddenly one of the most famous fighters on the planet. What are some lessons that you learned that were important about how to manage that change?
One thing is I learned to not trust people as easily. There were some people that I thought were my friends, or I felt like I had loyalty to them, and they didn't feel the same way towards me when they got their first opportunity to, get a quick clip of me, like just pretty much talking like I would talk in my living room. They would use it, for their own gain and not necessarily for mine. And it surprised me the first few times, but I try to be much more careful and not make those mistakes anymore.
A little gotcha journalism here and there?
Yeah.
With a lot of these young fighters, I mean, how do you train them mentally to go to actually be prepared for actual combat?
It's hard to really prepare yourself for the real thing. Nothing is exactly like the real thing, and that's part of the reason why I think amateur shows are so special, is because so many people have their first fight there, and you never know how they're going to react to that situation. You can train all you want, but nothing can really recreate it, and you find out a lot about people, just who they are, from how they react in their first fight.
So you are the queen of the armbar, and you see a lot of arm bars just get lost all over the place with young fighters. Is there a single mistake that you see young people making consistently with that technique?
Yeah, a lot of people, when they throw their leg over, they lift their weight up off the person, and so that's why the person has space to escape in the beginning. So that's why I usually like leaning really low when I'm trying to transition to an armbar. So it's one mistake I see a lot.
Are there any judo throws that you feel have transitioned more perfectly to mixed martial arts without the gi?
Yeah, Sasai is a throw that I didn't really do before in judo, that I do a lot more in MMA. That was the first throw that I did in the Misha fight, and I actually did it in my third amateur fight. And a lot of ashiwaza techniques, like foot techniques and sweeps and stuff like that, I didn't do as much in judo. That are much more effective in MMA. It's because a lot of people don't know them. And they're really difficult to learn. It's not something you can catch up on in a couple months,
So, you're undefeated as a competitive mixed martial arts fighter. At some point in your life, you must have at least lost a moment in a fight. And that's really hard for a lot of young fighters to come back from. Their mind breaks, and you've come back exceptionally strong. Do you remember the first time that you lost and what you took away from that?
Yeah, the first time I lost, it really sucked. But I remember my worst loss was I lost the finals of the World Championships, and I never really got a chance to go back there and try for it again. And so it's just, you have to, I think one thing, to be a good fighter, you have to be willing to let your heart be broken. You have to be willing to care that much and willing to put yourself in a situation where you might not get what you want. And that was one of the times I got my heart broken.
That's never good. In judo, before you transitioned to mixed martial arts, was there a favorite technique that you had with the gi?
With the gi, I did uchimata a lot. I think probably my most effective throw was ochigari. I also liked soresori kumagoshi a lot, and I liked sunigaishi a lot. You didn't know any.
Did you guys get all those? No, I knew a couple of those. I get thrown on my head a lot because I'm really awful at judo, and my coach wants me to learn how to not get hurt when I fall. Which, actually, that's a good question for the young people training judo. How do you make it hurt less when you fall, other than don't fall?
You tuck your chin in when you fall, and you try to hit the ground at almost the exact same time that your body hits it. You want to hit it with your hands, almost the exact same time that your body hits it. So it's like you whack the ground first instead of it hitting you. So,
Okay, I need to start doing that.
yeah,
My
tuck
back
your
is
chin
awful.
in and hit the ground at the same time it hits you.
Do you have a favorite finish that you've had so far in your career? Is there one finish that just stands out as the one that really you felt was perfect?
Yeah, the one against Sarah D'Aleo was that jumping flying armbar. I thought was awesome, but me trying to be nice and saving her arm and her causing that big shot and tap, like that kind of really tainted it for me. But it was the perfect armbar. I should have just not been nice about it.
They heard it there. Don't be nice. It's a big, big mistake. So, who's your favorite fighter to watch right now?
To watch?
Do you have a favorite?
Nick and Nato is my favorite to watch.
Yeah.
Always, always.
One of the things that Dana said really turned his mind around about women's mixed martial arts was the way that you looked through him when he met you. And that's a big thing I see in some of the best fighters in the world, where they look at someone, especially a softie like me, and they're like, you don't even really exist when I look at you. When did that stare begin? Where did that come from?
I don't know. I guess I have a measured gaze. I just measure people. Maybe I was sizing them up or something. I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't think I was looking through them, but.
Is there any fighter out there who, when you look into their eyes, you see something frightening?
Who's a scary looking? I always thought that Giro dos Santos looked like he had 4 eyebrows. Like, he's just a gnarly looking dude, man. He's scary looking.
Josh Barnett frightens the hell out of me. I once saw him eat a whole Cornish game hen just with his hands, ripping it apart. And then I tried to ask him a question, he just growled at me and then went back to his food. I couldn't handle it. So, you're very well known for being relaxed and jovial and fun, and then as soon as you're walking out, your stare on the way into the cage is a thing that people actually talk about. I'm in my living room, people are going, this is a bad girl. What goes through your mind? What are the changes that go from, I have a smile on my face, to, okay, the stare for the walk is now on me?
I pretty much get in my serious mode in the hotel before I leave, and I change into all my stuff, and I put the fight hair in, and I put I see myself in my fight outfit for the first time, and I put everything on, put the battle boots on, and once I leave the hotel, then I'm just in my very quiet, focused mode. So yeah, I'm not the type that likes to joke around and play music in the locker room. It's like a quiet and focused.
Cool. Well, now that you've gone to becoming the face of women's mixed martial arts, however you want to call it, you're doing about 1 billion interviews all the time now. Other than myself, what is the worst question you've had in an interview? Is there anyone that sticks out where you're just like, that was awful?
Oh, man. Oh. I think it's just the repetitive questions that come over and over and over. Like, people are just like that stupid pre-fight sex question. It's like every single time they ask it, they're like, so, I hear. And I'm like, they don't even say it. I know from the first word of the sentence what they're about to ask, and I'm just so tired of it. It's so overdone. And it's just like, okay, it's already been Googled, it's already been said, you've obviously already Googled it and heard it. Why do I need to reiterate it for you, okay? I'm not your dancing monkey, okay? You heard the sex question answer before. You want your own private sex question answer. I don't understand why it's such a big deal. It's already Googleable, you're old news. If I answer it again, I'm not gonna answer it any different. You're gonna get stock answer number 19, so you better just cut it out because no one wants to hear it anymore. You know?
So, before a fight, no, I'm just playing. So, to all these young men and women who are trying to actually get into fighting, what would you tell a person before their first fight?
Once you're willing, you're not scared of, I mean, you can be scared of it, but once you just accept what it could happen, then you're not gonna have that same fear of it. You're gonna have acceptance of it. So you can't fight with fear as much as you have to fight with acceptance of the fear you have. It sounds weird, I know. But yeah.
I think that sounds good. For the University of Mixed Martial Arts, this is Rowdy Ronda Rousey. I'm Rich Slaton. Find this and more interviews at uofmma.com.